I've got some good news and bad news just before I get into this speech. Don't worry, timekeeper, you can start. It's fine. So I've got some good news and bad news. The good news is this is going to be one of the shortest keynotes you're ever going to hear. It's we're gonna get the time back here. The bad news is it's going to leave more time for Snooty, I'm afraid. So I don't know what we can do about that, but we can work it out later. Anyway, we'll get into it. The butterfly effect. Can I paint you a picture? I was locked inside a tiny room, gasping for breath and absolutely petrified about what might happen in the next few minutes. High up on the wall, I could see a small window, and I wondered if I might be able to open it and squeeze through. And then I saw a spoon on the floor, and I thought maybe somebody had been in the same situation as me and they'd tried to dig their way out. Mr. Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters and guests, I've just described the corner I'd painted myself into, locked inside the Toastmaster toilets, moments before I was due to give my first ever speech. But let's not worry about that for now, because to understand how I got into that position, we have to go back to the summer of 1904. It was a blistering hot day in the grounds of a university in Illinois, America. And one man is sitting alone on a bench, contemplating a very serious matter. Ralph is a quiet man. He's an introvert, but he's worked hard on his communication skills, and he's recently landed himself the role of Director of Education at the YMCA. As the butterflies flutter all around, Ralph is lost deep in thought. You see, there's one thing he enjoys doing more than anything else, and that's helping other people. He's noticed that nearly all the young men who come through the doors of the YMCA, they suffer with the same issue, the same problem. They struggle to communicate in public. It really doesn't matter if they're speaking to a large audience, a small group, or even one-on-one. They find it so difficult to express themselves. Most of the men are nervous, and they will shake or stutter when they come up to speak. But even those with more confidence, they really find it hard to get their message across. And when it comes to impromptu speaking, things are far, far worse. They're all like rabbits caught in the headlights. No wonder they struggle to succeed at job interviews or strike up conversations with women, Ralph thinks. And as he sits there, he starts to wonder about what it is that makes a great communicator. And he decides that, in his opinion, all the great speakers share one quality, and that's the power to connect. He thinks that when a speaker can connect with their audience, they will transcend their message and form an individual bond with every single person in the room. Just then, a butterfly flies down and lands on Ralph's hand. It sits there for a few seconds, then it flutters its wings and flies away. And that's when Ralph has the idea. What if? What if he sets up a public speaking club for young men? What if that club isn't just a place where he spoon feeds them information, but where they get the chance to practice regularly? What if he calls that club the Toastmasters Club? On the 24th of March, 1905, Ralph's club holds its first ever meeting, and it's a roaring success. Ralph revels in seeing nervous young men quickly metamorphosize into confident, engaging speakers. But not long afterwards, Ralph is asked to move away for work. And soon after he moves, the club closes down. Ralph tries again in his new town, and again the club is initially a big success. But again, he eventually has to move away and the club closes. Ralph realizes that the only limitation to the success of his Toastmasters club is himself. When he's around, clubs flourish and grow. But when he leaves, they quickly wilt and die. If only he can find others that share the same passion and enthusiasm he has. And then, in 1924, everything changed. Ralph was relocated to sunny California, and again, he went back to the same idea and set up a Toastmasters club. But this time, things were different. This time, the idea had wings. Suddenly, more members than ever before started to join the club. Then people from surrounding communities started to ask Ralph if he could set up clubs for them. And pretty soon, Ralph had more on his plate than he could handle. But this time, it didn't matter, because there were other members willing to step forward and take over the leadership of those clubs for him. Members who realized that Toastmasters is about so much more than simply taking what you can get. It's about giving back. It's about commitment. It's about dedication. Over the next few years, like a kaleidoscope of butterflies, Toastmaster clubs started to swarm across the United States. In 1931, the first international club was opened in Canada. And in 1969, the men finally realized that they'd built up enough courage to invite women along too. Today, Toastmasters, as we all know, is one of the biggest non-for-profit organizations on the planet. Over the course of its history, it's helped more than 4 million men and women to develop their leadership and communication skills. Even during the pandemic, Toastmasters was at the forefront of helping people to connect at a time when we'd never felt so isolated. Back in 1904, Ralph was still sitting on his bench, and he noticed that the little butterfly was still there next to him. It had been there the whole time. He'd just become so consumed with his own ideas and excitement, he'd stopped noticing it. 100 years later, almost to the second, I was still locked inside the Toastmaster toilets, the butterflies playing havoc with my insides. But as I looked up at the window and down at the spoon, another thought occurred to me. What if? What if I go back inside that room and speak? What if going back is the only way to really move forward? So I took a deep breath, unlocked the door, and stepped outside my tiny room. For the first time in my life, I was going to talk. And so was she. For the first time in my life, I was going to talk. And as the great Ralph C. Smedley said, when we talk, we give ourselves away. We reveal our true character to the world in a picture that's far more colourful and vivid than one any artist could ever paint for us. Happy 100th birthday, and back to you. Thank you.